Oh, I just saw it pop up on stream. All right, then. Good morning, everyone. I'm SmellyMctroll, and yeah, this is Sword of Mana. I already see some people in the chat saying and say pretty interesting imagining of the original Seiken Densetsu. Um, it does, however, make for a pretty decent speed run. So looks like my input display is on. Turn that off. Without further ado, I'll get started. I do want to say that there are quite a bit of cutscenes in here. All right, so time will start after I input the name here. So just one character, and give a little countdown. So 3, 2, 1, let's go. So we do start off with a pretty long cutscene here. It's about 5 or 6 minutes. So I guess I can probably go over some of the mechanics that you'll be seeing. So mechanics that you'll be seeing. So I actually recently routed this game on this category, and I came from Adventures of Mana, so I took a lot of what I learned in the Adventures of Mana run and kind of applied it here. Oh, the timer did it not start? Goes. So, one thing about Adventures of Mana, you can kind of mash out your 3-hit combo. In this game, it requires some timing. You can actually slow down the cadence for your button presses for this, and it's actually really beneficial to get those 3-hit combos. So, the first hit does kind of the base damage. The second hit does 150% damage. The third hit does 200% damage. So you get that third hit in there. It's gold, man. Yeah, we just got a little intro here. In Sword of Mana, they added quite a bit of lore. Maybe a little bit forced. Some of the relationships they built up between the characters. And we got kind of the main villain here, Stroud. And I forget exactly what's going down in this cutscene. I know Stroud kind of barges in and takes charge of everything in here. And then that's Bogard, by the way. Keep an eye on him. So we got Bogard. Also have Sumo. I'll just call him Sumo. Sumo's father right there, challenging Stroud. Bogard kind of jumps in a way. Eventually, we're going to end up right about where Final Fantasy Adventure starts proper. Right after this. Still got a minute or so on this cutscene. Yes, I will try my best to run down some of the plot. Because there are some variances, obviously, from the original Final Fantasy Adventure. Yeah, like I said, I don't exactly remember what's happening in this intro cutscene. But we will flash back to this many, many times throughout the run. At least little bits and pieces of it. Okay, so we're just about done here. Got Fuji and Sumo running away. And then we're gonna end up here in the dungeon of Castle Grunge, is what they call it in this game. Here we go. So, yeah, kind of the same scene as Final Fantasy Adventure. We got Sumo in the dungeon. There's Willy over there. One big change is that Willy stays alive in this game, like the whole way through. And there's actually kind of a funny cutscene towards the end because of that. So, kind of just going over what happened in the dream. And yeah, he's dreaming about Fuji. Then we get to name her there for a second. Just again, just one character, saving all those frames. And then, yeah. Sumo's gonna walk to the right in a second, and then I'll come to what I like to call first control. Because, yeah, the first section of this game is pretty much segmented about 13 seconds, or 13 minutes or so with cutscenes. So, just like any good JRPG, you gotta talk to certain NPCs to proceed, right? So, gotta talk to Amanda once, and then go over to the guard, and then go back to Amanda, and then go back to the guard. And Amanda just kind of teaches you how to save. And instead of just walking out to fight the jackal, we get an entire scene this time. Yeah, so, I see some people talking about the class system in this game. So, if you remember in Final Fantasy Adventure, you just had the 4 classes. I don't remember what they're called in the original, but I know in Adventures of Mana it's called Warrior, Monk, Sage, and Mage. Oh, look what that is in the doorway, by the way. Told you to keep an eye on him. I actually just realized that myself not too long ago. It's actually Bogard in that guard uniform there. Give me a second here. So, mini boss. 3-hit combos, important. He's in iframes whenever he attacks, by the way. And that's what you don't want him to do. You don't want him to charge. But it was a good fight anyway. Yeah, so Warrior makes your strength grow 2 to 1. And then Monk made your defense grow 2 to 1. And Sage made your intelligence grow 2 to 1, I think? No, that's Mage. Make your intelligence grow 2 to 1. On here we have actually a bunch of classes, but only going to be taking 2. And kind of a neat thing about the classes in this game is that you can take a certain amount of levels on one path, and then take some on another path, and then you get kind of a hybrid class. We won't be seeing that here today. We are going to see Sumo get bopped on the head multiple times, though. So, again, in the original Final Fantasy Adventure, Sumo kind of escapes from the dungeon. He runs out and he sees Julius and Stroud, and then Stroud chases him. In this game, Stroud catches up with him. And so they have a confrontation on this bridge. Sumo gets bopped on the head. That's his first concussion of the game. And then we get Niccolo. Niccolo just kind of fishes him out of the river and then kicks him a little bit. For what? Just make sure he's alive. Let's just go ahead and kick him. Yeah, Niccolo is actually kind of an important element in this run. And as of this point, he is completely RNG. So he will appear on the screen and clear out all the enemies, and he's a roaming shop. But I don't know what kind of pattern he's on at the moment. So it's completely random when and where he shows up. I want him to show up at the point where I have 400 gold. That is optimal. That way I don't have to see him again for the rest of the game. He doesn't charge him for the kick, but he will charge us for a few items along the way. A few items that we actually have to pay for. So, meeting up with Fuji very, very early in this game. Then I have to get a book that's, for some reason, in this grass. Right here. And then, hopefully I get good Rabite patterns. That's fine. Don't help Fuji. It's the one time I don't want her to help. So this game is kind of a hodgepodge of mechanics from pretty much every Seiken Densetsu game that came before it. So at this point, that was, 1, 2, 3, and The Legend of Mana. So one mechanic that they ported over from Secret of Mana was leveling up your weapon. And I actually want to get a few levels on this before I get to Ket Manor. So, how that works is it's 20 times whatever level that you're on. So, the XP starts out at 20, of course you go up to the next level, and then it's 40. And so on from there. That's not too important throughout the run. It is kinda semi-important in the beginning, because I do want to get a certain amount of damage before a very scary mini-boss. That's early on. That's the other thing. This run has some very scary moments spread all throughout. So, escorted Fuji to Topple, and now talking with this guy, we learn about the Sword of Mana, and also going to get a mildly important item in this run. We're going to get the escape rope. Yeah, that very thing actually gets kind of annoying in a few minutes. And you'll see why. First of all, I'm gonna leave Topple though. So again, I gotta talk to certain NPCs. The NPCs are shuffled, depending on whether you get to a place during the day or during the night. So I have to talk to that lady about a cave that's up ahead going to Windell, and then I have to talk about Cascade Cabin. They call it here. That's Bogart's cabin in this game. And then before we can leave town, Niccolo just takes the opportunity to sell us something. So another Secret of Mana reference here. He's going to sell us Popoi's notebook, which you don't really see in the speedrun. Going to take the opportunity to get some more levels here. There's my first one. I really don't like fighting on this screen because of that bee. Then I'm kind of relying on RNG here a little bit too. Also, you'll notice, if you play the original Final Fantasy Adventure, the stamina gauge is kind of the opposite. So, in that game, if you didn't take an action, right, it'll build up and continuously build up, and then eventually you'll get your power hit or death blow or whatever you want to call it. In this game, it's akin to Seiken Densetsu 3, right? Every time you hit an enemy, then you get a little bit of stamina built up on there, and then eventually it gets to full and you can do your power hit. That's gonna come in. That's gonna come into play on some of these bosses here. But for right now, we're in Bogart's cabin. Bogart isn't here in this version. Instead, we get Fuji that kind of followed us in. He's beating Sumo up a little bit because she thinks Sumo actually works for Stroud. So her Mana Spirit appears. Got a little wisp there. She says Mana Spirits only appear to good people. So, you must be a good guy. A good guy that actually, saved her life a couple minutes ago. I guess he wasn't good enough then, right? Anywho, so we come up with a plan to go to Windell. And we get our awkward party up sound. Gonna be off to the races here. And then you get one ability here that's actually pretty handy. So this is the only Seiken Densetsu game I believe that has a jumping mechanic. And I'm actually gonna put it to good use here. First I'm gonna beat up this Rabbite. Now, I do want to hold on to as much HP as I possibly can, because the first really scary part of the run is coming up. So, in this game, you get a lot of weapons. A lot of weapons. Only a few of them are really, really useful. I'm going to go ahead and take a save here. So to get a weapon in this game, you actually have to go into a forced battle scene. And in those forced battle scenes, the enemies are generally a little bit stronger than any other enemies in the area. And this screen coming up is especially scary because the arrow, or the bow and arrow, probably the most overpowered weapon in the game. Okay, so I'd like to go over here, and here's something they added. You can actually switch to your partner in this game. I'm gonna try to get as many 3-hit combos as I possibly can, because we want to kill these guys as fast as possible. Okay, that's always generally a bad sign when Fuji dies there. Okay, and can you please hit him, Sumo? Thank you. Oh man, that's actually scary. Okay, so I'm gonna need to use my candy here. This is not a good place to be. Now I'm just kind of swinging wildly. Jeez. Yeah, you can see how much damage that arrow does, and the hitbox is like, it is absolutely ridiculous. And these guys have like 50-something HP each. So I don't... Okay, that's a little bit better. Say I don't really want to do a 3-hit combo because, as you can see, for the first 2 hits, they're pretty fast, but the 3rd hit, he does a big jump, so you can actually get poked in between the 2nd and 3rd hit. Okay. Alright, only one more of these guys. Also, I'm missing a lot because the accuracy is like super low at this point, which will change in a little bit. Okay, that's fine. All right. So, got the bow very early on, and then you get a little kind of tutorial here. So those little silver enemies are called meatballs, and they only get damaged by certain weapons. Fortunately, you can jump over them most of the time, just like here. So that thing's gonna attack. You can't actually move forward there unless you jump. So I'm gonna be keeping the bow here for quite some time, because now I've got my OP weapon. And yeah, I'm gonna be taking a little trip to Ket Manor. They call it Vinket in this game. But first, I'm gonna go down and I'm gonna get an accessory called the cicada earrings. It's called something a little bit different in the Japanese version, but don't really need to worry about that. Then we run into Niccolo again. He's gonna give us what's called the cactus essence, and it's gonna allow us to grow hothouses, like the one up there. That's not going to come into play for quite some time, though. Yeah. I want to put on those cicada earrings. That actually increases accuracy, so it makes this next section a lot more consistent. I'm actually going to pick this up. I want 2 healing items for the mini-boss that's coming up pretty soon. Yes, it was. It's called... Sword of Mana. The Japanese version is called Shinyaku Seiken Densetsu. Okay, so the gate to Vinket Manor only opens at night. And this, I did mention that this game has a day-night cycle. I believe it goes day, 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 and then evening, then night, 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 and dusk. So we get 3 screens of night, which is perfect for just going down and getting those cicada earrings. You get here on the last screen of night, gate is still open, and you can still go forward. I have a theory that the games are connected, but I think officially they all are kind of their own self-contained stories. But there are like little clues here and there that make me think that they're all sort of interconnected. Yeah, and I just saw someone mention that, yeah, the second meatball in Batmo Cave. Yeah, you're meant to attack that with Fuji. And you don't have to, because you can just jump right over it. So then we get kind of the classic scene, you know, remixed a little bit for this version. We get into Venket Manor, talk to the butler, and then we're going to stay the night. In this version, they throw Isabella in from Seiken Densetsu 3, or I think Trials of Mana, as it's called now. So, I actually have to go over and talk to her about the magic mirror. So, if you played Final Fantasy Adventure, you know that these sections are reversed. So, Final Fantasy Adventure, normally we go to Ket Manor, and then you would go fight Hydra, and then you would come back to Ket Manor. In this game, actually gonna go all the way through Ket Manor first, and then go to Hydra and all that. Yeah, the world of mana games are supposedly their own self-contained thing. Again, there's like little clues in there. Make me think otherwise. Yeah, I do know that Heroes takes place like 20 something years before Trials of Mana. And I want to say that some of the characters in there actually carry over to Trials as well. Okay, so finally got control of Sumo again. I do want to grab this Angel's Grail. You saw me grab one in Batmo as well. So they will come into play a little bit later on in the run. I do want to stock up on those when possible. And we're going to get started in this dungeon. Absolutely, you're going to see why the bow is overpowered here in a second. I'm going to take a little save for safety. And you also might notice that I still have that level up. So I'm holding on to that for a reason. Well, one, because you can hold on to level ups. I'm just gonna go clear out this room. I'm gonna clear out this room 6 times. Oh, that's the wrong way. Yeah, so this is why the bow is overpowered. Because you can get multiple hits on enemies. Okay, so that was 1. I need to keep track of this, because I need a certain amount of experience here. That's 2. It's a halfway decent game. It's a good speed run though, in my opinion. Might be a little biased on that one. So what is this? 3, 4. Yeah, it's incredible. It's just busted. This bow. Like, you can hit enemies like, oh, that's not something I want to happen. It worked out, though. Thankfully. That was 4, I think. And then we're on 5. Yeah, so if I get caught holding the attack button, or like even mashing it right when I'm killing this last enemy, then he will automatically go into that chest opening animation there. and the last enemy pretty much always drops a chest in this room. Anywho, I'm actually killing these slimes because they have the most XP in the area, and I need to hit a certain amount of XP. I'm gonna grab this for my second healing item. Get a little light coin down there. Pretty much acts the same as a candy. I'm gonna soak up some extra XP here, get a little bit ahead. Well, see, there are two DS games. There's one that's actually an RTS, and that's Heroes, and then Children of Mana is, yeah, kind of the dungeon crawler. Okay, so here, Salamander. Gonna get our first Mana Spirit, and he actually happens to be the most important Mana Spirit in the game. He also teaches us how to sit on the ground. Okay. I shouldn't be using sit unless I miss here. Anyway, so you can carry your level ups with you, and you can use them as full heals, so they will restore your health and magic. I'm gonna go ahead and equip Salamander. See what kind of RNG we get on this zombie. Fine. Okay, so now I'm gonna level up. First level I'm gonna take is Sage. That allows me to have a little bit more magic to play around with here. And then I'm gonna pick pretty much Monk for the rest of the game. So as you can see, offensive magic costs 6 MP, defensive magic costs 3. So to kind of reduce the amount of time that I'm in that room, I just take those level ups and then, you know, double my magic a little bit too. I'm liking all this extra XP I'm getting. Okay, very scary boss fight coming up here. So I don't have much health. And this werewolf, we're finally gonna fight the werewolf butler. Actually don't need the magic mirror, so he just transforms on his own in this game. Yeah, he can fire a tracking fireball, which hits you twice, and wipes out over half your health. So I'm gonna go ahead and switch to sword. Gonna power up. And what I'm gonna be doing is single hits here. So I did mention that, right, you can get poked in between. Oh god. Whew. You can get poked in between the second and third hits, so I just like doing single slashes on him. Alright, now he's down. Good stuff, and I gotta level up. Okay, now I can just pretty much run straight to the boss. And ignore really everything else. That guy's a pain sometimes. Okay, so boss time. Count Lee. So sometimes Count Lee doesn't move from his initial spawn spot, which is right over the table where Isabella is. While he's in that position, he's very annoying, because the strat here is to position yourself behind him so you don't get hit with his main attack, which is a dive kick. If he's up by that table, he will hit you with a dive kick. Alright, so I'm gonna lag the game a little bit. I'm actually gonna take this level up right now. Okay, he moved. Good. My damage is getting overwritten. Thanks for helping, Fuji. Calm down a little bit. Oh man, so many misses. Okay, there he goes. Yeah, so if you position yourself just behind him, you know, his dive kick goes down, so the hitbox completely whiffs. He does have some scary desperation attacks, though. Like the one you saw. That's his bloodsuck attack. If those orbs touch you, you're basically dead. So sometimes I just kind of push the limit there towards the end because I know he's pretty low on health and that the hit rate is, you know, halfway decent. So even if I do get hit by one of those, I just keep going and get rid of him. But he also can turn into a bunch of bats, which is annoying because there's almost no way to dodge that attack. And in this version of the game, Countly is a Mavolian. We'll see more Mavolians throughout the game. And that's kind of just the underworld in Seiken Densetsu lore. And he's capturing mana maidens to protect them. Then we see the Ghost of Lord Grans. He's kind of an important figure in this game, but yeah, his part doesn't come into play until much later. So now we're running away with Fuji. Get a little flashback there, and then we're gonna be off to the races. Okay, so next destination, as I mentioned, is going to fight the Hydra. Hydra is actually very, very annoying in this game. Oh, hello, Niccolo. Okay, this is the guy I want to see. I don't have enough to buy everything, so I'm going to buy one of these, I'm going to buy one of these, and hopefully he comes back at some point when I have 200 or more. So I'm going to be attacking certain enemies here, which they're not going to spawn, I guess. So those flowers, because they give you 3 XP, and they're weak to sword damage. Also, same thing with the tadpoles, which are like little pink frog-looking eels. These guys. Again, because it's nice to get ahead on XP. Oh god. Okay. I want that to happen. So, just like the meatballs, we get these magic totems here. So, oh geez, they only crumble with a certain type of magic. So now I actually have to sit on the ground here. Again, offensive magic does cost 6 to cast. And it is dependent on which type of weapon you have equipped. So, I need to bow to actually get that one. And then I'm going to switch back to sword for pretty much the rest of this dungeon. So now I have no cast of Salamander, which can get kind of hairy, because there is a forced fight scene coming up here pretty soon. So here's another meatball. Let's go ahead and jump over that guy. Don't get me, Snapdragon. Oh. That jump's always kind of scary. Those Snapdragons do a lot of damage. Alright. So I'm gonna try my best not to position myself right in front of these guys, because that attack does a lot of damage. Like, their tails are kind of scary as well. Let's see, oh, she doesn't have enough for a cast. Okay. In that case, I'm just gonna beat up these guys. These mad mallards in this game are not too bad. They do a fair bit of damage, though. I think I actually have a candy left over. Or, let's see, no, I have the light coin, so I'll just go ahead and use that to avoid an untimely death here. Okay, now I'll just go back to 3 hits. I kind of don't want to spend my death blow here, so I'll save that for Hydra. I do kind of want another level up to take with me. Also, a thing that's happening here that you might notice, may not pick up on. Okay, there's that level up. So enemies can only take damage from one source, which comes into play later. Also, kind of comes into play now. So whoever hits the enemy first, if you attack at the same time, that's who gets the damage. So Fuji's doing lower damage there, and her hits are getting there first, so she's doing like 1 damage. Enemy's only taking 1 damage, you know? So that's completely overriding my hits. Alright, now I can pretty much run straight to the boss here. Set a warp point here, and I'll talk about warp points right after this fight. So, Hydra. Hydra has 2 heads. You have to kill the purple head first, otherwise the blue head will continuously respawn. So again, I switch to the bow here, and then power up. Switch to the bow for those multiple hits. Some damage on the purple head. Okay, good. That actually made contact. Alright, so both heads have 150 HP here. And this fight is kind of RNG dependent. So you see the Hydra's kind of bobbing and weaving here. Oh man. Okay, that's an attack you don't want to get caught by. Because it stacks damage on you really, really quickly, and it also gives you poison status. So I did talk about enemies only taking damage from 1 source. You can also only have 1 status effect in this game. So if I power up and I get hit by that attack, the poison status actually overrides my power-up status, so I start doing less damage. So it's doubly bad if you get hit by that one. Okay, that's not the one I want to hit. Yeah, I believe this is one of my biggest time saves of the run. I got frozen there. Oh, jeez. That is... Oh, somehow I managed to escape all that damage. Great. Just want to be focusing on this guy here. Alright, that was a bad decision. Alright, 2 deaths. 2 deaths to Hydra. Let's not make it 3. It's kind of a tough boss fight. I'm not sure if I mentioned what Salamander actually does, but just in case I didn't, I'll say it now. Salamander is doubling physical damage, so that's why I'm kind of spamming him. Alright, please don't hit me again. It's not good, it's not good. I'm gonna take this level up. This is kind of going well. Oh, he's almost dead. Okay, there he goes. Alright, just gotta worry about this one now. He ought to be out of here in just a second or 2. Alright. Yeah, this game the speedrun actually does have multiple scary moments. Then we get our second mana spirit there, Undyne. So when I first rattled this game, I thought I was going to be clever. Because you have to take Undyne to a lake. That lake has a save point. So I thought you could just use the escape rope. You know, go up there first, save, use the escape rope, go all the way through this section, and then you can escape rope right to the lake. I was wrong, because this game does set ward points after certain events, and most of those events are boss fights. So no matter what, after that Hydra boss fight, you're going to be warped. If you use an escape rope, you're going to be warped to that save point that's right before Hydra. So that kind of sucks because it doesn't cut out backtracking. So I have to backtrack all the way through this cave and then go to the lake and revive Undyne. I'm just going to ignore everyone else here. So slimes, they take quite a bit of damage to the arrow. They also take quite a bit of damage to the flail. And soaking up that little bit of extra XP. So the lake isn't too far away. It's only a few screens to the right here. And then up. Weave in between those guys. So the only time I'm actually going to use Undyne in this run is to proceed through the game. So that's coming up here in a second. No, she's all good. There's a save point over there to the right. You didn't see it because I actually didn't run over there. But now we're actually going to go to Windell. It is time to go to Windell, City of Cutscenes. I'm going to ignore everyone out here because fighting them takes a long time and the XP isn't worth it, and I don't want to change my weapon. So again, magic totem here. It's going to change, unleash that flail magic there. I don't have to get close. And then pick up this gummy frog that's kind of hidden here. So these gummy frogs give you full stamina bar. That comes into play, actually, on the next boss, the very next boss. And I'm still looking for Niccolo here. I still need to buy 2 more meat items. But it's fine. I bought 2, so I don't really have to see him again for a little while. Alright, so we're gonna meet a few kind of critical characters here. Really important to the narrative. And yeah, City of Cutscenes. There's gonna be a lot that's happening here. So first we're gonna meet Lester. Lester is headed to Jad, and that's another important character right next to him in the green. He's Devious in Final Fantasy Adventure. His name's Devious in this game. And he turns people into birds. He also has pretty much all the bards in the region come to Jad. So we're gonna have a minor discussion here. And the first thing I'm gonna do in Windell is actually visit Devious in his hotel room, which we'll be back here a few times. I actually forget what this conversation is about, but I need to have this conversation to actually unlock the cathedral that's up ahead. Otherwise, I'll just be knocking on the door. We get this actually pretty cool panning shot, just like the one at Vincat. I'm a fan of this. Okay, and then we meet Siba? I really don't understand why they designed him like that in this game. This is also the first official time where we meet Bogard. You might remember, you know, if you saw his blue hair sticking out of that guard costume in the beginning. He actually freed us from Castle Grands. Sorry about that, guys. Alright, so Sumo gets a little bit upset. They were chatting about the Sword of Mana in there a little bit, and his feelings as well. So he pushes Fuji down, runs outside, sees his airship go overhead, and now we're officially going to meet Julius. So we don't get the mysterious red mage in this game. Instead, we saw him at Vinket. He was just kind of the mysterious man that walked by. You know, we didn't really know who he is, and now we get a proper introduction to him. Oh, and Sumo also thinks he can challenge Stroud, which doesn't work out for him. So he gets bopped on the head again, and to add insult to injury, he gets blasted all the way to the back of this cathedral. And then our magic mirror shatters, and this is what the magic mirror reveals in this game. So it reveals that Julius is actually a reincarnation in this one of Emperor Windell. I'm gonna say it's like 20, maybe 25 years before the beginning of this game. He was actually using the power of mana to try to take over the world. And then the Geminites, which Bogard is one. In this game, Siba is one. And then they created a third one just for this game, Lord Grons. They stopped Emperor Windell. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you get the mysterious red mage, aka Julius, as a party member in the original Final Fantasy adventure. In this game, not so much. I don't know about the heroine's path or Fuji's path. I know you get some different party members, but I'm not exactly sure who. Also important here, you need to talk to Bogard or you can't leave the room. For some reason, we're back in Devious's, his hotel room. And then we're just gonna have a chat with him and Lester. Lester's actually gonna leave to Jad with Devious here after this. No, it's not a sequel. It's a reimagining of the original Final Fantasy adventure, or Seiken Densetsu. So they kind of took a lot of the lore that came after, like Secret of Mana, Legend of Mana, Trials of Mana, and tried to roll it back into this game and make it a proper Seiken game. Okay, so they're off to Jad. We need to free Devious's birds, and they're off to Jad as well. And we will be soon, but not right now. So Fuji got kidnapped in that cutscene there. Gotta go back to the cathedral, talk to Siba and Bogard, and we're gonna come up with a plan on how to get her back. Yeah, the original Final Fantasy adventure was kind of before they started creating the whole lore of Fadiel and all that. So it was more or less its own thing. you're paying attention here, we did get another mana spirit, so we're up to 3 now. So we have fire, water, and light. Just picked up Wisp. Yeah, unfortunately the Chocobot isn't in this one. And honestly, like, I wish they would have put Flammy in this one. They didn't put Flammy. Flammy's one of the best parts of the series. Yeah, the Final Fantasy name was pretty much just marketing in the US. Because it was a new series, just getting off the ground. And, you know, everyone knew Final Fantasy already. So they did try that tactic again with Final Fantasy Legend, which is Saga, I believe. The first Saga game. So that was our first montage cutscene. Those are actually pretty cool. I'm not gonna take a save there. It's not very dangerous up ahead. Pretty much all I'm doing now is just crossing this mushroom forest, and I'm gonna end up at Dwarves Town, which is the trigger for the next event. There is a gummy frog around here, but I really don't like going out of my way to get it. It's cost too much time. So, Watts, the dwarf, he ran off to the Mythril mines up ahead with a bunch of dud bears. These guys want him back. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna talk to these guys, and then we're gonna go up and we're gonna go find Watts. We're gonna have a slightly long conversation here. I think this one is almost over. Here we go. Yeah, so not very much going on here, but I am rolling up on a pretty scary part of the run. So, I did mention the timing on 3-hit combos. Well, the axe 3-hit combo is almost impossible to hit. I wish I could do it. But that makes what's coming up even scarier. Because those Insectars are no joke. They're incredibly powerful. And at this point, Sumo does basically no damage to them. So I've got to rely on Watts. Gonna lean very, very heavily on him. And then we get a boss? Oh wait, it's just dud bears. Alright. Don't have to worry about it. And look, there's Watts. It's always nice when the person you're looking for comes straight to you, right? So, the funny thing about the axe, it is the most powerful weapon in the game, but because it's incredibly slow, and the 3-hit combo is almost impossible to do, actually go with a different weapon. So the damage on the axe is kind of insane after a while. But here in a bit, you'll see why I don't use it. Anyway, we're going to party up with Watts, and then we're going to go into this mine and look for some Mythril. There's a story element that you don't see here. To actually go through Gaia Pass, which is called Gaia Facade in this game, you need some Mythril to pass through. I'm going to take a safety save here. This part is actually really, really scary. No, this is a remake of the original Seiken Densetsu. I believe Legend of Mana was just kind of its own thing. So this dungeon is pretty much the same. Gotta hit switches, gotta time it right. It's not too difficult. Except for that one part that's coming up very, very soon. Need all the blessed RNG I can get right now. So this room terrifies me every single time I come through it. So what I do is I power up Watts and just send him in. These guys do a ridiculous amount of damage to Sumo. Oh, get out of there. Okay, so just like that, that can be a total run ender. That first guy is the scariest. So, if you're switched off to your partner, that leaves Sumo kind of vulnerable. So if he gets beat up and dies, then that's your game is over at that point. So yeah, let's go ahead and get a redo on that. Also, I want to try to keep Sumo far enough away that he keeps his death blow. That way I don't have to use a gummy frog. The problem in that room is, like, the attack radius on pretty much all the Insectars attacks, their magic and their just regular sickle combo. It's huge. So they can hit Sumo across that gap. Okay, this went much better. Actually, that's great. So I don't have much to worry about here at this point, once those two guys are gone. Watts is definitely doing some damage right now. Alright, oh, it's just this guy up here now. Usually my strategy is to get one hit on him and then kind of get out of their range. Yeah, because that thing hits twice. Okay, that's the scariest part of the dungeon. And Sumo still has his death blow. So we got a win-win there. Just gotta not get hit with a gym missile and we're good. Yeah, the first time I got to this dungeon, I couldn't figure out what to do. And yeah, it just turns out that you gotta jump onto the mine carts. And the jumping is kind of weird as well. You know, I'm just normally just jumping up onto ledges. So I jump and I kind of hold a specific direction. Yeah, majority of the weapons aren't that great here. It's in the game overall. The lance is kind of decent. I've never really used a sickle, like maybe once or twice. And the axe is really powerful, but it's just super slow. Like the top three weapons are definitely sword, knuckles, and bow. So I'm gonna grab a thing down here just for safety. Because I don't have any healing items, so I'll get one for free there. Take a save for this boss. And most of the generic bosses in this game, they kind of turned into servants of Julius. I think his name's Ankeg in this one, the Megapede. And I want him to go off to the right. I'm gonna power up here. Alright, he went to the left. And goodbye. No, you have to manually level up in this game. I sometimes just carry him with me as an extra healing tool. So, Megapede. If he goes over to the right, he goes through that wall, he straightens all the way up. So all you have to do is power up, and then as he's coming out of the wall, just use your death blow and you're going to go straight forward and kill him in one shot. If he goes over to the left, it can get a little bit more complicated because his body doesn't straighten all the way out, so a couple of your death blow hits can miss. Yeah, so it takes... To kill him in one shot when he goes to the left, it takes some specific spacing and timing. But you can still kill him in one cycle, just like I did. You can get him before he goes back underground. Yeah, for the most part, he is not a threat. So now that that's over, a very scary section with a very easy boss, we're gonna go through Gaia's Facade. Oh, Niccolo, thank you. Thank you, Niccolo. Okay, so now I can buy one of these and another one of these, and I don't have to see him for the rest of the run. Again, that's totally RNG. I don't know what governs where and when he appears. So, at this point in the run, I'm just kind of relying on, you know, whenever he wants to show up. It's good. It's good he showed up there. Again, Angel's Grails. I'm gonna collect those. Haven't needed to use them at all at this point. So this next cave, there's not much going on in here. Now that I have Mythril, Gaia's Facade opens up, and then we can go right in. The only real things I'm getting in here is just an upgrade material for a little bit later, and a new Mana Spirit. I think I still have Salamander on. Oh, what a jerk, man. He hit me as soon as that was gonna come out. So now that I've taken 5 monk levels, I actually get a special bonus. So you get +5 damage on the knuckles, which is a weapon I'm gonna be using pretty soon. I need to one cycle this room. Okay, that's not too difficult. You just can't pause anywhere there. The rest is like pretty much just running through here. And I've tried to find a way to one cycle this room, but I think it's impossible. You just have to wait for that thing to move. Here we go. So Mana Spirit number 4, we got Gnome. So I may cast Gnome like once or twice, depending on how I'm feeling. Gnome just increases physical defense. I actually need to use Gnome right here. This is a mandatory cast. And I do want to save right here. So again, the next part is kind of scary. It's less scary if you take a kind of a back off distance. But there's a force fight scene coming up with 2 werewolves. 2 werewolves that both have tracking fireballs. But fortunately, we actually get Siba as a party member in this game, and he is like super overpowered for this point in the game. Sumo, on the other hand, will take a lot of damage if he gets touched by really anything here. So yeah, I want to avoid all these Grand soldiers. Oh god, you see what I mean? That was 44 damage. Yeah, pretty much anytime you see a werewolf in a Seiken game, it's gonna be a bad time. Luckily, you can see Siba has a lot of MP, and you can just free fire those wisp spells. Alright, so now that I have the knuckles, I'm actually going to equip those, and those are going to be the main weapon. So for the rest of the run, I'm going to use nothing but a bow and the knuckles. And the knuckles are great because the death blow is a Hadouken. Alright, so I'm just going to go ahead and throw those on right now. And I'm going to go into a mini airship grind here. So I do need to upgrade my weapons and also buy an accessory in the next town. So I need to grind here for a little bit. Get about, is it about 950 gold is good. So, as a byproduct of that, Sumo's going to be gaining a bunch of levels. So, not very interesting for the next couple of minutes. All I'm really going to be doing is killing these guys and going in and out. These enemies are the ones you want to see. They're worth a little bit more gold than the rest. Except for that guy. Not that guy. Just the magical dolls here. This is also a nice point in the run to kind of work on your 3-hit combos. So, pop, pop, pop. Big jump. See, I'm actually going to check stats. How much money do I have? Yeah. So I need to go here, keep going in and out for a little bit. So on average, enemies give you like 15, 16 gold. So this doesn't take a whole lot of time. But it is pretty dull. So there are only 2 characters in the game it's for main characters. I actually have not played the heroine story. But if we're talking about like weapons, then I would probably stick with the sword. The knuckles are pretty good. Well, pretty much the ones you use in the speed run. The lance is not too bad either. You don't get the lance until a little bit later on though. Definitely would stay away from the axe and the sickle. Oh, he decided to do a death blow right off the bat. There we go. Alright, check stats again. 652. Still have a little ways to go. I think Fuji's campaign might be a little bit easier if you're playing through the first time. Because she has the staff, and the staff has tracking magic, like you saw with Siba just now. so you don't have to get super close to enemies. And magic can actually get pretty overpowered in this game, which is not something you see here because pretty much relying on physical damage for the speed run. But there are little items called geodes that you can get, and those you can trade those in a little bit later in the game to get more mana spirits. Yeah, I think you can stack up like 7 or 8 of like each spirit or something like that. It gets pretty crazy. And then of course with like your hybrid classes as well. Yeah, it can get nuts like real quick. I'm gonna clear the screen and then we're gonna go in and check again and again. I need those upgrades. Alright, almost there. Almost there, guys. So I guess I'll go over some miscellaneous stuff now. Like the level up. You'll notice that the level up jingle only plays once. Once it's on screen, it doesn't play again. Way to walk through a wall there, Sumo. That's interesting. I've actually fought so many enemies that Siba leveled up. Yeah. The airship in this game is actually a pretty short section with Sumo. Okay, we got enough gold now. So if not for that grind, pretty much just walk in and then walk out. Okay, so again, Fuji got captured. Now she's being confronted by Julius. Julius wants the mana pendant so he can open the way to the mana sanctuary. But then we get there just in time. And then Siba and Julius have their anime battle. And for some reason, Sumo has a sword now. We put that away a little while ago. He just, broke it back out for old time's sake. So there goes the mana pendant. And, there goes Sumo. So that's concussion number 2 here. That airship's in flight, by the way. Yes, it absolutely is. So now we meet up with Amanda. You might remember her from the beginning of the game as well. Yeah, Sumo takes a number of tumbles throughout this game. So he's all beat up, he's bedridden for the most part, and then Amanda kind of makes a deal with the devil, so to speak. So Amanda, I'm not sure if it was actually this way in the original Final Fantasy adventure, but I know in this game, Amanda is sort of a love interest for Sumo, at least the initial one. Yes, absolutely. A little bit different in this game, as we'll see. Devious. Also, Lester got turned into a bird. Forget how that happened. Well, the thing for me about Final Fantasy Adventure is, like, some of the things didn't really need to be explained all that heavily, you know? For me, the simplicity of it was the strength. Also, Fuji and Bogart are here. So again, I have not played on Fuji's side of the story, but I assume that you have to go through the airship with Bogart. And they don't just, like, randomly teleport to Minos. Alright, so the town actually cannot leave here until I trigger the next cutscene. So I need to talk to those two NPCs and then her. Then I'm gonna buy an accessory. Don't have to worry about accuracy so much with the knuckles because you attack so quickly. So I'm gonna buy an accessory here that increases my power. I can take off those cicada earrings. I'm gonna throw this one on. No, this is the Fiend Fang. Clean that up. Also, I talked about warp points being changed by different events. After you fall off the airship, your warp point is changed to the goddess statue in Minos. So those two are off. I'm actually going to go up to the outskirts here. I need to get a upgrade material for the bow. Also, we get Search for the Sacred Sword playing pretty early in this game, which I'm all for. Pick up that Biobab wood. Then, as I mentioned, we warp right back to Minos. So this is going to be my first round of upgrades. So finally going to use that cactus essence and go into a hothouse here. And now that we have Watts, you know, he's set up shop in the back here. So I'm going to upgrade the knuckles and the bow. So I'm going to use that marble that I got earlier, and I'm going to use that Biobab wood. That's all I need. Okay. So, I did mention that this game is kind of a hodgepodge of, you know, all the Seiken games before it. This game does have a crafting system. I believe it's the same one from Legend of Mana, where you get fruits and vegetables, and then you can, or actually you get different seeds, and then they grow into fruits and vegetables depending on which day it is. You know, they'll turn into different things. And using those fruits and vegetables, you can then upgrade your weapons and armor. But you can also just get different upgrade materials. And I'm actually going to take this level up. I just realized I'm at 10 health here. Don't want to get hit by that rabbi. I actually think they're called, like, rebellions at this point. Okay, so finally in Jad. And I can just run straight to Devious's mansion. Yeah, so for this next bit, we're going to be diving into some of the family matters that are going on in this game. So we're going to go meet Medusa, who is an actual character in this game. So there's Medusa, right over there to the side. there's Lester in that cage right there. So he's currently a bird, as I mentioned before. And Medusa. So Medusa is also a Mavolian. So Medusa fell in love with Lord Grand. Mentioned the third Geminite from this game. And they had a few children. Two of them being Stroud and Devious. So Stroud and Devious are brothers in this game. They had a third child too, but we won't see him for a while. Also, that's Lord Grant's song. I believe that was established in the intro. No, it was somewhere along the line. But anyway, Lester plays Lord Grant's song. I don't know exactly how it's playing right now, considering he's a bird. But, yeah, we're just gonna ignore that. Anyway, Medusa wants to go see Lord Grand, so she's gonna head off to this place in the desert called the Altar of Time. Lord Grand is a ghost. He died, so he can go and live in memory there. But we're gonna pick up the birdcage key, free Lester, and he's gonna fly through the desert. And I actually need to talk to her to trigger the next cutscene. Yeah, thankfully you don't really have to deal with birds in this game. So I'm actually gonna go save, because you can die real quick in this next section. So I've got a bunch of levels I'm gonna take at some point, probably before I get to Medusa, if things don't get too hairy. Also in this next section, you know, most of the enemies are weak to lance, and Amanda just happens to have a lance and some really high accuracy. So we're going to be putting her to good use. First I'm going to do a little figure 8 dance around these palm trees to open up the desert labyrinth, and then we're going to jump right into it. So in my split name for this, I actually call this Castlevania. So we're going to be using the flail pretty much all the way through here. Really all we're doing here is hitting a series of switches. I'm gonna go down here. Hit this. Okay, these guys are kind of scary. Kind of fake out that mimic chest. Those guys can get kind of scary because they can sucker punch you and then they can give you tiny status, which makes you do 1 damage to everything. It's very annoying. You move really slowly as well. Oh, okay, I'm gonna exit here. I have to be holding up and right, and then you can skip past that. So you can save yourself some magic. Unfortunately, Amanda gets beat up a little bit. But yeah, those totems don't actually spawn until you go into combat, so it's so close that you can just skip over it. Shining Souls 2? I don't think I've ever played that. Okay, I'm just gonna take a quick level up here. So yeah, just like Watts before her, just gonna power up Amanda and then send her into battle. Those nice 3 hits. Yeah, I need her alive, but I do have Angel's Grails, just in case. Alright, that's fine, actually. just go with the backup here. Yeah. I'm just gonna use an Angel's Grail. Why not? I've got a bunch. I haven't really used any. Okay, so this is where we get the axe proper. Just gotta do all that just so you can hit this little switch in here. So that room is kind of scary, just because those goblins, like, they have a kind of boomerang axe, like you saw. It does 25 damage on the way out, and 25 damage on the way back. So it's gonna completely wipe out your health bar. It doesn't do quite as much damage to Amanda. Yeah, the backup failed, so I had to do the backup to the backup, right? Plan C. I'm doing alright, Graybeard. Okay, and again, here. Power up Amanda, send her into battle. So when she actually does hit, when she's powered up, she kills these guys in like two swings. And then next Mana Spirit is coming up here right now. So, free accuracy boost with this guy. Don't need it right now, but a really neat thing is that your partners don't start out with any Mana Spirits. If you get a Mana Spirit while you have a partner, they can use it. Which is great. So it was actually a really neat solution to that little puzzle. Normally you have to like switch weapons because really nothing there is gonna hit that totem, and you can't skip it, unfortunately. So, I'm really just going to shuffle through a couple screens here and then go to the boss. Unfortunately, it's nighttime now, so I'm not going to get attacked by any of those snakes. Here we go. And fake out the mimic. Oh, no. That didn't work. Alright, now it's boss time. That's the last switch I need to hit. That's going to open up the cavern on the other end of this little swirly maze. Alright, so now I'm going to take all the levels that I have. Got a few stocked up. Gonna advance the damage quite a bit here. Go. Now we're going to be fighting Medusa. I did mention that the Medusa fight is a tad bit different here. Do you also want to mention this is the only version of this game where we actually see Medusa bite Amanda. Like that. So, this is the other reason I call this split Castlevania, because we fight a giant Medusa head here. So, I want to wait till her eyes turn pink. No one cycle for me. 2 cycles fine, though. Amanda kind of overwrote some of my damage there. Yeah, so Medusa. What she does is she teleports around to those 4 kind of stone pedestals there. She will shoot a projectile, that projectile will kind of bounce around the room, and it will petrify you. Well, first it'll do a lot of damage, and then it'll petrify you right afterwards. But it kind of bounces between those 4 crystals that you see on screen. It is pretty fast and fairly difficult to avoid. So she'll do a cycle of that, and then do like 1 or 2 cycles of summoning snakes. The JP version, just because there are a lot of unskippable cutscenes in this game, so it shortens the game by, actually, I want to say 5 minutes or so. So what happened there? Stroud and Devious are upset about you killing their mother. So Devious actually challenges you. So that's actually our next destination, is to go to his mansion and fight him. Medusa, or rather Amanda, right now is still suffering from Medusa's bite. And yeah, so we're gonna need to Gorgon Tears, which is one of the reasons that we actually followed Medusa here. So we needed Gorgon Tears to turn Lester back into a human. Unfortunately, we couldn't get any from Medusa herself. So we gotta get him from Amanda. So Fuji kind of heals her a little bit. She gets up for a while, just long enough to change her brother back to human form. And now she's gone. So of the expanded lore in this game, I actually think this is one of the things that's actually pretty well done. This is probably the most visceral version of this scene. The script is a little bit different. Some of the names are a bit different in the Japanese version as well, as far as the characters. But the script is shorter overall, so it does cut a lot of time off the run. Yeah, so now Sumo is a bit remorseful that he had to kill Medusa. And I'm going to say, because Devious's mansion is a scary portion too. I didn't mention that this run has multiple scary parts. No version-specific differences that I could find, obviously besides the text in the script. I did mention that I just kind of recently rounded this game, so maybe I'll find something there. You never know. But as far as right now, none that I can tell. Alright, so now I have to go into this super secret closet. That is for some reason a dungeon with all kinds of gear works and stuff. These guys. Uh-oh, I'm dead. I'm gonna see if I can use a healing item to kind of nope out of this damage. I'm gonna use this Stardust Herb. Okay, that worked somewhat. It worked well enough for me to survive. So that's why this section is scary. Because if those magicians hit you with one of those fireballs, and like maybe half a second later, you're gonna get swarmed by like 5 more. And they come really, really fast. And then you're dead all of a sudden. But now we're gonna get to the gimmick of this dungeon. Those bells right there. So you want to hit those bells until they make a slightly different sound, and that's going to open different pathways. The first one is kind of a troll. So instead of hitting it 3 times, you gotta hit it 4 times. And then it makes the sound that you want. Okay, again, those totems don't pop up until combat starts, so you can just kind of run past that one. And then jump over the meatball. And stay away from the Shadow Zeros. Alright, here... I actually do want to take this level just to be safe. But I'm gonna do that first. Because there's a magician and a werewolf right around this corner. Alright. That's good. That's not good. Let's see what I got here. Expendable items. Jeez. You see what I mean? That's it's twice already. Yeah. We got both those. Hopefully this guy doesn't hit me again. Alright. Good, good, good. If you get close enough to them, they'll swing with their melee attack instead. Alright. Yeah, the jump is actually rather useful in this game. Gonna use my last healing item there. Definitely get rid of that guy, because I've gotta actually use some magic here, and I don't want him to hit me. And someone mentioned earlier that you can control the offensive magic of the Knuckles. That does come into play later. But that was a little bit of a taste of it there. I was pretty much just holding straight down, though. Also, another thing about this dungeon, you have to jump onto some of the gears, and others you don't. And I think this is the healing item. This is the one I want. No, that's a dark coin. Gets me every time. This is it. This is a candy. There we go. So this is the last screen of the dungeon. Or the last proper screen. All I have left is a save point and then Bogard. Definitely gonna save here because this boss fight is really, really annoying. Yeah, I think the game, I want to say the English version. I started running this game on the English version. And I want to say they're called meatballs there. Alright, so while I'm talking to Bogard, I'll go over those meat items I picked up from Niccolo. So those double damage against specific enemy types. The one I'm going to be using now doubles damage against demi-human types. Actually, no, what is it? Magicali? It's multiple. It's multiple on some of these. But Devious is a Magicali type. So I'm gonna be eating that right off the bat. And I'm also gonna be casting Salamander, so I'm gonna be doing quadruple damage to him. Which is great because it ends this fight very, very quickly. Also gonna put on Salamander. Devious flies around this disc, and you can't hit him until he lands like that. Okay, this is gonna be a 2-cycle here. Also, I forgot to use a Gummy Frog. Or a 3-cycle. There he goes. So yeah, generally I like to use a Gummy Frog before I go in to fight a boss. Again, you get that full stamina, and then you get the death blow. So, we're gonna have kind of a creepy character pop in here in a second. Which, I don't know if his story is kind of sorted out on Fuji's side, but it's definitely not on Sumo's. So he actually comes out and he takes Devious's soul and he eats it. And then he disappears. And this guy's name is Gormond. Yeah, actually I've got a fight coming up. Actually, the very next boss fight, I can use that gummy frog on. Yeah, and I really don't know what Gormon's story is. He pops in at a few points in the game. Kind of works with Stroud, kind of doesn't work with Stroud. But yeah, he's very creepy. He comes in and he takes people's souls, and about it. He laughs and he disappears. Initially, I thought he was kind of the replacement for the Grim Reaper that you fight towards the end of the game, but that is definitely not a thing. The Grim Reaper is his own thing still. So we get another cool montage cutscene here. Flashback to Count Lee, because we haven't seen him in a while. And then that's where we're headed. That's called Miasma Glen. And in this version, right, Devious is the one that kind of dispels this whole thing. Well, actually, no, that's proper. It's still the same. For some reason, I was thinking Medusa dispels that. Yeah, it's the same in Final Fantasy Adventure. Who talks with a bunny lady? Oh, well, actually, yeah. Yeah. So that's coming up. I know exactly what you're referring to. So that bunny lady is actually Isabella. So that scene's actually coming up in the next 10-15 minutes or so. What happened to Niccolo? Nobody knows. He's still kind of roaming around selling things to people forcibly. Maybe we'll see him again. You never know. Now we get our next Mana Spirit, Luna. So, there is a Moogle in this game, and that's it. Her ability is to turn you into a Moogle because enemies have different senses in this game, and if you turn into a Moogle with her power, you can just pretty much walk straight through different screens and not get detected by any of them. But the trade-off is that you can't attack. Yeah, Children of Mana is, I'd say similar, but it doesn't have an overworld. All the World of Mana games are chapter-based, which I think kind of took an element out of it. Took a little something away in the gameplay. So, I take that save there because there are screens with magicians in Miasma Glen here as well. And you can lose your run just as easily going through here. Because sometimes they just like to stand in your way, and they're at a point where you can't jump over them. Oh, there's Niccolo. He just wanted to pop his head in and say hi. Okay, it looks like they were generous this time. Sometimes they block you right at that choke point. don't really have to worry about these guys here. It has 4. Where am I going? I want to go this way. Also, I don't want to get hit by these guys. So, pretty short section that's leading to Full Metal Hagar, as many of you might know as the Metal Crab. A little bit different in this one. As are many, many things. Pretty much just blow past everything in here. Don't really need the XP because of the airship grind. And this is one of the bosses that doesn't change your warp point, so I have to manually set it at this goddess statue out here. And then I'm gonna go ahead and eat that gummy frog. Then again, generic enemy. Generic boss enemy. Turned into a servant of Julius. So I do have to deal with some RNG here, and that's one of the reasons I got, one of those meat items. Not so much for the first part. There is a little bit on the first part, but the second part, you can actually skip an entire phase. So that's what you got to deal with as far as RNG. And I'm actually going to turn Lester off now. So after you clear the first part, he turns into the Poison Vine. I don't want to go here. I want to go to here. And I want to set Lester to the most passive I can get him. And this counts as 2 different screens. Thanks for wasting some magic, Sumo. So I want to get here before I use the meat item. I want to use this one here. And you can't hit him until he opens up this part. And actually, that was a lot of damage, so I kind of want to push the limit here. That was actually a phase skip right there. So normally, you can get enough damage to destroy that little vine that's at the bottom, and then he goes into a really annoying phase where he just keeps going back and forth. When his head's like fully extended forward, you can shoot him with an arrow. But when his head is kind of towards the back, then he'll spit a seed, and you can actually reflect the seed back at him. But it takes quite a long time to kill him that way. So yeah, there's the next Mana Spirit. Dryad. Little joker here. But yeah, on Poison Vine, you can stack enough damage to just totally skip that third phase, and it saves a lot of time. So, Dryad was going to make like a tree and leaf, but now she's going to stick around. And her power is to increase your magical defense, but not going to be using her either. Except for the one time where it's mandatory. It's coming up. Now we're climbing up Mount Lucia. The gimmick here is that the faces need to be on a specific expression. And all the faces in the area have to be on that same expression. Just gonna grab another gummy frog here real quick. Then we're gonna continue. So for this one, the faces need to be neutral. This is kind of a dangerous screen. Those moths will confuse you, and then you'll just end up running around getting hit by the turtle, and yeah, it'll be a bad day. So here's one mandatory use of Dryad. And I gotta remember to switch off her, because I don't want to use magical defense up at all. So gotta remember the expression for this guy, right? It's pretty angry. So gotta remember that going through this section, which is a forced fight scene. Fortunately, the bow is super, oh my god, overpowered. So you can kind of get yourself into position and then two-shot these guys. Technically just one-shot them. Well, that is, if I'm in the right position here. Just not getting enough damage now? Okay. So that one was pretty easy, right? So, just gotta make this face angry, just like the one down there. It's literally it. And no confusion, thank you. So it just opens up that little cavern. And now I'm gonna march on to Stroud's castle. Right after I change all these expressions to sad. So sad, sad. Sad. This is the gimmick here. That fourth one is kind of hidden around the corner there, and then you can't fully see its expression. Here we go, Castle Grands. Yeah, that's the ironic part, right? You're shooting a bow, but standing directly in front of an enemy. So before going into the castle, get this challenge from Isabella. I'm not exactly sure why she challenges us here. She also pulls a Dracula from Symphony of the Night. No, she doesn't actually throw the wine glass. She just somehow makes it disappear. So actually both of the Stroud minions show up here, Gormon and Isabella. Isabella? No, we didn't save her. She's actually Count Lee's girlfriend, so she was in no actual danger way back in Vinket. This is Sword of Mana, so this is a Game Boy Advance game. What you're referring to is Legend of Mana, which is completely different. Another forced fight scene here. Kind of scary because this guy uses a bunch of magic, and jeez, that was insane. That was insane damage. So, no weapon here. You just gotta pick up a key to proceed through the castle. So, you can get an optional cutscene, you know, when you meet up with Willy again, if you go over to the right side. But I don't have time for all that. We'll see Willy again soon enough. But if you thought one forced cutscene or forced fight scene wasn't quite enough, get another one here. So I do like to power up and then, oh, nice crit. Yeah, so these guys still do a lot of damage to Sumo, as do most things in the game at this point still. You clear those guys out, you get the lance, another weapon that I'm not going to be using. Just got to finish out the dungeon from here. It's got one cutscene to go through. Take the sinner out, and then you can go left or right here. So everyone meets back up. Bogard, you get Fuji. And there's Willy. Yeah, there are a lot of dangerous enemies kind of just wandering around. Luckily, you don't really have to tango with any of them going through here. Except for those ground soldiers. Again, that's forced. So this cutscene's actually kind of short. And we're going to be trading partners here. So instead of going for it with Lester, we're gonna go for it with Fuji. Yes, occasionally I Mamba with some enemies. Like this one that's gonna be coming up. So, I was talking about the third child of Medusa and Lord Granz. And that is Garuda. So Garuda is coming up rather quickly. And these are a bunch of diaries about how Garuda kind of slowly mutated into a monstrous form. Get a little bit of lag to go through those spikes. Stay far, far away from those guys. And then I already have a death blow loaded. Pick up this gummy frog for later. And Garuda has a lot of RNG on him as well. One specific move where you can just go into the background and waste a bunch of time. I think it's like in 15 seconds. Eat that. Here he comes. 1, 2, 3. Get a little bit of damage on him there. No, come back here. If you time that death blow just right, you can actually kill him in one go there. Oh no. He's just out of the arrow's range. He's actually being really generous this time around. That actually wasn't too bad. But then we have the main attraction. So I'm gonna take this. So now we actually come face to face with Stroud. And the beginning of this fight is kind of a deciding factor on how it's gonna go. And that really depends on what Fuji decides to do. Sometimes she wants to go over and try to fight him. Other times she just runs away. If she runs away and comes over to our side, that's good, because his attacks will be focused on her. So what I want to do is go to the other side of this pillar. Oh, look, she made it. And you see that? So you have, like, basically no accuracy here. Okay, so you just keep dropping arrows. If he does hit you with an attack, if it's from his sword, he will stun you. So that'll cost you a few seconds. If he hits you with one of those waves, it casts darkness on you. So you're not going to hit him at all. So you just have to wait that out. Yeah, it's the best fight of the game, right? He just gets hung up on a pillar and you shoot arrows. So, occasionally he will find his way around that pillar, and he will come for you. But if he does that, you pretty much just gotta play Ring Around the Rosie on that center pillar. It's actually better if he gets trapped towards the top of the screen, that way you can get double hits on him. Trials of Mana remake? It's gonna be on Steam too, I believe. I'm pretty sure I got that pre-ordered. Yeah, so he's not programmed to, like, really go around those pillars, so he just kind of gets hung up there. So this is kind of the halfway point of the game, not really the halfway point of the run. So we're over halfway into the run. The second half of the game goes rather quickly. No, so that was no explanation on why Gorman does what he does. He did take Stroud's soul there, and so in Final Fantasy Adventure, you kind of get blasted to the other side of the world by Julius. They took Julius out of the equation there, and they made Gorman fight Isabella, and then Isabella is apparently an Esper and changes into, like, her Esper form or whatever that is supposed to be. And, like, the energy released from that fight actually blows you across the world. So now we're in recovery, and we're about to find out where to actually find the Sword of Mana. But first, I need to talk to everyone in this room. Yes, it was a very Dragon Ball Z-esque fight. Unfortunately, we didn't really get to see it. That is a pretty fair assessment of what's transpired in this game thus far. So, this whole conversation here, we're talking about the Sword of Mana, where to actually track it down. So, Siba does say it's at the bottom of an undersea volcano. So, you know, it's a good idea to wander in there. That's really the gist of what's going on right now. So Sumo really wanting to get a hold of that sword says, "Yeah, I'll go." Yeah, this is a longer cutscene here. let's see. What's coming up? I'm actually going to start the quest to be incredibly overpowered at this point. So I said the second half of this game rolls by really fast, and I'm going to start right now. So, I need to go back to Windell. And I actually need to do it right now because the day and night cycle is aligned perfectly for this next mini quest I'm going to do. It's the only mini quest I do in the entire run. There's a hot house over here I'll be using a little bit later. First, let's get some cannon travel going. I want to save here. That'll save a little bit of time. Yes, it does involve a certain totally broken accessory. Oh, I should probably highlight Windell instead of just mindlessly mashing the button. So, they did keep cannon travel in this, which is nice. And you get the little cutscene spinning out of control here. So this is perfect, right? I want to get to Windell at nighttime. Start this mini quest. Sub-quest. Whatever you want to call it. So, the gist of this sub-quest. This nun gets robbed. And we got to find this guy a few times. Just so happens you can only start this quest at night. So he's kind of down here. I think this guy's name is Josie in the US. Hello? Oh. But it's Yosu. Japanese version, which I guess is pretty close. So yeah, he's kind of hanging out in that back alley. And then he's kind of hanging out in the corner of this general store. Both at night. And the last place I have to find him is not until dusk. So to kind of advance the cycle forward, I'm going to sleep in the inn. This is also the only point in the run where I'm at best status. Yeah, so we already established that Sumo can fall from great heights and not get damaged at all. So, yeah, why not travel by cannon? This is where I really wish they put Flammy in the game here. Would have been so much better. Anywho, so. We give the nun her property back, and she gives us a item called the Tiny Tapper. And now I'm gonna go to Lorimar because we're gonna make use of that. Not right now, but after this section. I've got to clear out this section first. Yeah, so you have to manually level up in this game. I like to carry the level ups with me every now and then, just because it's an additional healing tool. So every time you level up, you get back full magic and full health. It's actually very nice. It's very, very nice to have. So the Lorimar section isn't super hard. In fact, you can shortcut most of the screens with jumping. And you want to generally head in kind of a northwesterly direction. We also get this overall theme, which I think is actually the best one. It's pretty cool. I don't think you get more XP when you sleep, but your stats are raised for a certain period of time. So, Lorimar, just like FFA, everybody's frozen when you get here. Except for the king. Now, I forget the exact circumstances of how everyone came to be frozen, but I know the king, like, I think he made a deal with Julius, I believe. Some kind of deal, and then it summoned Merilith, and then Merilith froze everyone. Yeah, the king is unfrozen, and also this lady is not frozen. What's your name? Mari? Mari. So she's gonna give us the key to the castle, so we get kind of free reign. But there's nothing really to do in here, so I'm just gonna go out of the back door, and that's about it. Of note, if you did pick up geodes along the way, you can trade into this guy right here. Of course, when he's not frozen, to get more mana spirits of, you know, whatever element you picked up. So this section's kind of the same as the section I just came from, except they kind of block your path with these giant, these very large pieces of ice. And it really is kind of the same. Like, you still just head in generally, like, northwesterly direction. Except they switch it up on one screen. Is this one right here? So yeah, not much going on here. I'm actually almost to the boss. Coming up right after this screen. This boss, to get a really quick kill on her, it does require some specific spacing and timing. Also requires a gummy frog. So I want to have that death blow loaded. I'm actually gonna use those level ups right now. And I'm gonna heal, because sometimes when I fail the quick kill, I just die. Right, so let's see. You have Salamander on. Okay, I didn't get too many hits on her. This could get kind of hairy. And she gave me bad RNG. And some more bad RNG. Get away from those things. Do a different attack, please. There we go. And there I go. Okay, so she has a couple different attacks. So she can do that one. I think, actually, you just saw all of her attacks just now. So she can make those icicles drop. She can go to the bottom, which just wastes a bunch of time. Okay, I want to be right about here. I got a better arrow drop that time. There she goes. That was good RNG. It is part of the Mana series. Yeah. If you're positioned just right and you time it just right, you can quick kill her with that initial death blow. But most of the time, you're gonna get a second attack from her, and you just kind of hope it's her just standing there firing off those projectiles. So, this scene is actually slightly grotesque. So you kill Merilith, and then her blood kind of turns into a mist that goes all over Lorimar, and then it starts turning into a really heavy rain, and it just blows through the castle and blows all over the region, and it thaws everyone out. And of course, everyone's pretty ticked off at the king. And they want the prince, who's right there, you know, down at the bottom. He's just exited the screen. So they want him to become the king. But he doesn't want to become the king. He wants his father to fix the entire situation. Also, he's in love with Mary. Unfortunately, he was frozen in ice, so he kind of remained... He kind of looks the same age, even though he's, you know, technically older, but she doesn't, and he kind of leaves him for that reason. He does kind of look like Dialogue. I've never made that connection before. Maybe that's on purpose. What annoys me about that section there is they show you in front of the castle, you know, in the cutscene, but then for some reason you just end up back inside. It only annoys me because I want to go fast and I don't want to go back through that screen. Anywho, you can't skip over this backtracking section either. So I've got to go all the way back to the cannon. Because again, the warp point changed, and it is now the back of Lorimar Castle. So if I were to use an escape rope, it's going to take me backwards instead of forward. It's really not something I'm interested in. But it's not a super long backtrack. So here we go. I'm actually blasting off the float rocks. And I'm gonna save here just in case. Depending on which enemy spawn patterns you get, you could end up with a griffin hand. And that gets pretty annoying because they kind of hang out near these posts. And your flail can only hit one target, so it's either going to hit the post or it's going to hit the griffin hand. Look at that. Hopefully there's not one on the screen. Okay, so I'm going to get another upgrade material for the bow. Please don't kill me. And I'm going to be doing my second round of upgrades here. So I'm just going to upgrade at this point. Going to get a whole heck of a lot stronger. So, I'm gonna be doing quite a bit of damage with it. Which is nice because reduces the cycle on the next boss. We can just kind of hop around the room at will. Okay, that was weird. There's also a geode, like, right here. Gonna go in. I have a level up, so I should be fine. Unless I get a turbo fish. No turbo fish. He did actually spit at me, though. I always think it's funny, like, when you get into range, those guys will actually, like, kind of ram you, and they go really, really fast. This guy usually doesn't spawn there. So the gimmick in this cave is that there is a pretty big body of water on the third floor of this dungeon. So you have to kind of I don't even know what Sumo's doing. You just walk up to those rocks and they just kind of crumble. So I have to do that twice. Right there, and then I have to cross over this section as well. And do the same thing to this one. And then I'm going to use that item I got back in Windell. I'm going to use that mystery item. Tiny Tapper. So you might remember that from Trials of Mana, Seiken Densetsu 3, right? Not quite the same, but it's very similar. I'm just going to go behind this wall. I'm going to walk up and down so I return to normal size. Do a little jump and enter a secret room. So this is one of the developers here. And he's going to give me an incredibly overpowered accessory that I'm going to put on and I'm going to steamroll the rest of the game with. Oops, that's the wrong one. Just got caught mashing there. So, the developer for this game is... what is it? Brownie? Brownie? Something like that. Anywho, you get the brownie ring. And as you can see, it gives a very, very large advance to every stat. Yeah, 55 to all the stats is kind of insane. Alright, so I'm gonna do a quick sorting session here. I'm gonna put on the bow. They don't need a death blow loaded. You need to power up. You can only use magic on screens that involve combat. You need to be in combat mode. The screen right before the boss has no combat, so I have to bump that up one screen. Wow, that was absurd. That was the first time he's done that to me. Is that actually not hitting him? That's weird. Okay. Where are you? Are you just not gonna come over here? Oh, there he is. Oh, finish it with a crit. Look at that. Yeah, so Kraken. In this version, he can just hop around from pool to pool, and then he summons those really annoying fish, which interrupt most of your attacks. Then you get really, really high defense with that brownie ring. So it kind of trivializes this dungeon a little bit. You can walk right over the lava. You still do have to watch out for those giant, I don't even know what to call them, giant floating balls of molten rock, we'll say. Those actually will do quite a bit of damage to you still. Thanks, jerk. Oh, man. Okay, so kind of the same deal here. This is actually one of the toughest bosses in the game, guys. There's a Sword of Mana. Unfortunately, we can't grab it just yet because we gotta defeat its guardian. That's a boss fight. So, casually, Ifrit is one of the most difficult bosses in the game. So he can also bounce around from like pool to pool of lava, and he has this this ball form that he takes on. If you touch the ball form, you take a ridiculous amount of damage. Luckily, it only pivots at certain points, but you just never know where it's gonna go. And he has a few attacks, so he can pop up. He can actually just turn into like a floating head, which does a ton of damage to you. He can toss fireballs, and I think he has like one other attack too. But yeah, he does a crazy amount of damage to you, and he's resistant to every weapon in the game. So yeah, with the multi-hit of the bow, and with the bow being upgraded like it is, and doing twice as much damage, kind of trivializes him as well. And now we get this cutscene where they're talking about their fight against Lord Windell. So they reveal to Sumo that they never actually unlocked the true power of the Sword of Mana, that they fought Windell the whole time, they fought him to the death with just the rusty sword. And at this point, we don't see it, but Julius is actually ascended to the Mana Sanctuary. The only way to actually stop him is to go up Dime Tower, which in this game was actually constructed by Seba. And I think of the changes to this game, that was probably the coolest. It's probably my favorite area of the game. It's a lot longer, and there are puzzles on pretty much every floor. But first, instead of setting out to get it, the Sword of Mana. Oh, well, I guess we already got that, right? So instead of setting out to defeat Julius, we're gonna have a feast here for a little bit. No, the upside down waterfall isn't actually in this game. We do get kind of a cool cutscene going up to the Mana Sanctuary, though. And so this is the scene where Sumo and Fuji kind of fall in love. So we're getting fairly close to the end of the game here. Yeah, it's not a straight remake. It's really more, yeah, a reimagining. You actually have to talk to Fuji on the way out, which I tend to forget more often than not. I don't know where the heck she went just now. So this section's kind of cool and annoying all at the same time. There are certain paths that are only revealed at night. So there's a bunch of glass blowing around in the air, and the moonlight illuminates it. We're gonna march up towards the ruined path. It's a couple screens up. So, yeah, that part is cool. It's also simultaneously annoying because you have to enter and exit screens until you get to nighttime again, so you can actually proceed through. And in PB attempts, this is usually the last save I do in the entire game. So if I die to the final boss, it's like a 30-minute setback. Can't actually go to the ruined path yet, So Goramon pops out and says that we're missing a key. And to get the key, we have to go to a place called the Sealed Cave. Yeah, not yet. We still got one more section. Actually, 2 more sections. 2 more very short sections. Oh yeah, Goramon also wants to eat their souls, by the way. There he goes. I'm gonna save here to set my warp point. And then again, I'm just gonna wait till nighttime. Again. Okay. On the way back, you can actually skip one of those sections. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do. Instead of going over the glass bridge, I'm actually just gonna go to this ridge all the way at the bottom, and it'll take you all the way back to Ish, which is the town I came from. So yeah, that just sets my warp point. So, oh my god, a rare enemy. Those guys trip me up so bad. Because just like Niccolo, they also despawn all the other enemies in the area. So sometimes they pop out and you get like a really nasty surprise because they do a lot of damage to you. There are a couple for DS. There's heroes and then there's children. Okay, now I'm actually going to use this hothouse. So this is my last round of upgrades here. So when I got the brownie ring, I also got a really, really good upgrade material for the knuckles called the Altina alloy. So we're gonna throw that on the knuckles right now. And yeah, that's the last hothouse. So let's get on with it. Gonna be going to Sealed Cave. Let's take a trip over there. Yeah, a rare enemy I'm totally gonna ignore, by the way. So there's a strat in here that saves a few seconds. It's, I would say risky-ish. So, the gimmick here, there are 5 seals I have to break. 5 seals, 5 levers. The first 2 you can kind of just hit with the arrow like this. Actually, I have no magic. Oh, I have a level up, though. So I'm gonna put on the knuckles, actually take this level up too. And again, you can control... There we go. You can control where the knuckle magic goes. So you can hit that switch that's over there off screen. That one doesn't save as much time as hitting the one up here. But this one's riskier because you have to go into the lower section of the room. And you have to aim it very, very specifically. So you need to stand right about here. Oh, I actually got it. First try. Oh my god, that's hard. Why can't I do that in PB attempts? I'll never know. Whew. Okay. And I actually got a good spawn pattern in there too. Sometimes the enemies spawn on the lower section, and if you miss a few times, you'll have to deal with them. But that was just good all the way around. So you have to pivot on a very specific pixel there to actually hit that lever, because it's kind of far away. So I'm just gonna prepare for battle here. I actually have no idea because my splits have been all messed up this whole run. I think it may be possible. But again, that doesn't save too much time. Alright, Grim Reaper has this very annoying scythe that's gonna interrupt pretty much everything you do. So, get behind him, shoot a few arrows, and he's gone. And now we'll get the final Mana Spirit. Which, in pretty much every mana game where you get spirits, you get this guy last. There are some where you get him a bit sooner. Actually, maybe only one. Oh, Dawn of Mana, you get him fairly early on. So yeah, he is the key that Gormon was talking about. So to get into Ruined Path, the Dark Mana Spirit and the Light Mana Spirit have to work together in tandem to open the door. How far is this into the run? This is getting on towards the end of the game. So there are actually only a couple sections left. So this is a very short one, and then we'll have Dime Tower and the Mana Sanctuary. So this is the replacement for going into the Buried Ruins. Like getting the nuke spell going into the Buried Ruins and then plunging the Sword of Mana into the panel on the bottom there, which raises Dime Tower in Final Fantasy Adventure. So as soon as these guys pop out, need to do a quick re-equip here. So I need that, and I need that, the Flail, and the Dark Mana Spirit. Again, one mandatory use of the Dark Mana Spirit coming up. That is if Niccolo doesn't spawn on that screen, which I hope he does, because then I can just run straight through. And he did. And I really, really dislike accidentally using the Dark Mana Spirit, because it makes you go invisible, and then you can't do anything for a little while. You just kind of just wander around. Okay, the gimmick here. Couple switches you gotta hit, and really all you're doing is raising that room in there to the sky. Hey, thanks for the good luck, everyone that's popping in. Appreciate that. So you hit that switch, you raise the room once. It does reveal that little secret door right there. So run in, hit this switch, raise the room a second time, and exit this way. Now I can get into Dime Tower. And that's what I was talking about earlier, where the flail can only hit one target. So that snake was right in front of the post. So it didn't grab it the first time. Here we go. We're going to go into Dime Tower now. So, this is actually the point of no return. Once you go in the Dime Tower, you're cut off from the rest of the game. Again, this is my favorite section of the game. Like, the way they changed this, like, the whole aesthetic just feels so good. And it looks good, too. And I love this new music that they inserted here. Just makes everything feel, like, so cold and mechanical. Alright, so first I need to activate that little orb. And then we're going to meet up with, well, in this version, it's still Marcy. So this robot was named Marcy in the original Final Fantasy adventure. In this version, the Japanese version, is actually still named Marcy. In the US version, for some reason, the name is changed to Marshall. Hey, what's up, Crow? Yeah, and instead of being like a single solitary robot, you can see like Marcy is just one of like many of these robots. They're like left over from the Vandal Empire. So to actually open the path to the rest of the tower, you have to go and examine this little tablet. So, Marcy kind of serves the same function, translating all these tablets in here. Unfortunately, Sumo doesn't like reading or something, so he just goes and destroys a tablet. Okay, now the path is open. And initially I thought that these puzzles were more complicated than they actually are. So, if you actually read the descriptions, it mentions different spirits, so I thought you had to hit the spears with like different mana spirits. Turns out all you have to do is hit them a certain amount of times with like anything. So you hit that one 3 times, hit this one 5. Discount it there, and that one once. This path opens over here. Here, we just have to step on one panel right there. And look at how cool like this whole tower is. Like this section is just breaking apart and we're ascending further and further into the sky, going towards the Mana Sanctuary. Alright, now this part is kind of wonky with the jumps. So I like to hold actually diagonal upright until I get to the top there. So here, the only time I'll actually use the mace. So you have to hit those 2 meatballs, right? And this one, it's like just out of reach. Pick those 2 up, or destroy those 2 things, and then move on. These things you can actually hit with a physical weapon too. I thought you had to hit it with magic for the longest time. And really all you're doing is counting the amount of robots that are around, and that's the order you have to hit those in. Not too much going on there. Those Dullahans can be scary, but generally aren't too bad. And then you're slipping and sliding around ice physics too. So hit those 3 times, and then we're ascending even further into the sky. Gonna split up here, gonna hit that, switch over to Marcy. Activate that one. I actually really like Marcy's running animation. Like the dust cloud behind there like kind of does it for me. And again, we come up to one of these rooms. Slightly more dangerous with all the spikes and whatnot here. Still not too bad though. And Get a free gummy frog here for our troubles. 2. The third one's over here. And then here, this is where I typically use the Dark Mana Spirit on accident. So you want to power up Marcy, and you want to kind of get these guys right here. Actually, this is actually the greatest position. Get them in. It's nice. You just wipe those guys out just like that. So it's actually a really, really good thing that you have Marcy as a partner, because those magicians can only be damaged by magic. And Marcy's bolts just happen to count as magic. So you power up Marcy, and then you fire those bolts over there, group them up, and get rid of them. Now, I'm going to fight Golem. I'm actually going to take these level ups. Golem gives me the right RNG. I can get a quick kill here. Gummy Frog. And this is what the final meat item is for. I want to get that quadruple damage. And like Golem, the design of Golem is actually really cool in this game too. Oh, that's not the right RNG, but it's fine. We're still gonna get him. Oh no. Let's see, I need to have on Knuckles here. Yeah, here we go. One Hadouken and he's down. So Golem spawns right in the middle of the room, but can go to one of 5 points around the room before it actually opens up and you're able to damage it. The good RNG is when it just stays right where it spawned and opens up right then and there. That way you can launch your Hadouken. Yeah, that's what a quadruple damage will do for you. Alright, so going on to the final portion of the game. And again, this cutscene kind of plays out exactly like Final Fantasy Adventure. Marcy states that it has rocket thrust. Really doesn't. So Marcy just kind of launches Fuji over there towards Sumo, and unfortunately goes down with the tower. And if you look in the background, like it's like, this section just impressed me so much. Like we're actually going further and further into the sky. Like it's not descending at all. This part will descend though. The part Marcy's on. So, unfortunately, I've got to wave goodbye. Now the Mana Sanctuary. So, the first part of the Mana Sanctuary is kind of like the Lost Woods from a Zelda game. You have to take the right path, and if you make a wrong turn, then you're sent back to the beginning. And we didn't get the cutscene with Julius ascending here, but he's already here. And from this point on, I'm going to keep my level ups, just because I don't really have any healing items at this point. And the final fight can be pretty hairy. Alright, so to stay on the right path, I'm going to go up, off to the right, and down, then off to the right again, and just straight up from here. So, once you're past that point, the Mana Sanctuary actually changes. Julius is actually draining the life out of the Mana Tree right now. So now it just becomes a regular maze, which is also not too difficult, at least not in this section. Actually, I almost went the wrong direction there. Just barely avoided damage from that guy. So, don't have to fight quite as many dragons in this version. In fact, there's only one, and if you played Legend of Mana, probably looks familiar to you. How many gummy frogs do I have here? Got 4. I'll go ahead and use one here. So there's Julius, again, another generic boss. So, that's his servant. And we're actually just gonna punch and kick in the face a couple times and get rid of him. Okay, now this section actually threw me off quite a bit casually. So, you can see those walls that I'm walking through, and like the perspective makes it look like there's an actual wall there, and you're just walking underneath like a rafter of sorts. So it definitely can be confusing, especially for this part. This is where I generally got lost casually. It's right here. Looks like a solid wall, and it's like right at the end of the screen. But yeah, that's really the only trickery on this portion. Yeah, the big bad dragon just dies after a couple hits, right? And that was just double damage. That wasn't even quadruple damage. I do like powering up before I go in there. I used to power up after I go in there, but again, with the one status effect, he can actually cast Stop on you, and then it just overrides your power up. All right, so coming up on the final boss here, and I'm actually gonna go in and save. That way, if I die, it's not a 30-minute trip. Still do have to go through a couple of long cutscenes, actually. So I do want to prepare for him right here now. So I'll eat this gummy frog and then power up. So the power up is actually going to carry over. So you have a couple of pretty long cutscenes. Yeah, so there is kind of a big lore dump here. So, Julius summons all your friends. all your allies, your companions, but they're all under his control. And he's actually going to corrupt Fuji here in a second, too. There she goes. So now it's, what, 5 against 1? Not liking those odds, right? Now everyone's going to start to get a tad bit aggressive here. But then Sumo quickly comes up with a plan. Says, you know what? I'm going to use the power of friendship. I'm actually not going to fight any of you guys. Instead, I'm going to put the sword right here, and you guys can do what you want. So then we get a big spirit bomb, a big mana spirit bomb. Take us into the final encounters. So we get a little bit of power from Count Lee, a little bit of power from Isabella, who for some reason wants to help us. A little bit of power from Mari. And now everyone's back to normal. Oh look, and there's Siba. I don't know. I guess I imagine it would be like some sort of Dragon Ball Z power struggle with the power of friendships standing in for the Kamehameha. Oh look, we get a special guest appearance. It's Lord Grands. So this is the guy we thought was dead the entire game. Turns out he was just kind of hanging out in the Mana Sanctuary and projecting his ghost everywhere. So Lord Grands, the third Geminite, is incredibly powerful, and when he shows up, Julius goes to Plan B. Let's just get rid of everyone. But Grands just stands up and says, "Yeah, no, that's not gonna fly." So everyone's all beat up. He teleports Sumo and Fuji out of there, and then everyone else has an epic battle with Julius. Including Willy, for some reason. So, the most powerful guy in the world, you know, you're fighting against, and Willy's just like, okay, yeah, I'll go take him on. Alright. Almost to the final fight. Gotta run up here. And now, just like a really good villain, Julius is gonna reveal all his motives. Right before he drains the rest of the life out of the mana tree. Yeah, Lester was in there too. He was trying to take on Julius. Just want to take this tree in peace. So he wants the power of mana so he can ascend and become a god, and he wants the mana goddess to bow before him. It's essentially what he wants. I think there's something like that in the English dialogue. Just faster text. It adds quite a bit of time to the run with the English text. This is how you know that Sumo is a true hero. Sword of Mana, activate! Alright, so Julius is going to summon a bunch of farm animals, but what I'm going to do here is Hadouken! Get rid of him. And you actually can't hit him while he's up here, so that's very annoying. You have to wait till he comes back down. You want to come down now? This is the RNG that can murder your run on the final boss. Okay, so that's phase 1. Phase 2. So he has these auras, and that's actually good. Oh wow, that was a 1 cycle phase 2. Okay, so I wasn't expecting to kill him that fast, so we're gonna get into phase 3 like super quick here. So I'm gonna change to the bow so I can get those good bow drops, get multi-hits. And what I want is for him to stay red. When he's red, he takes physical damage. When he turns blue, your damage output is gonna be lowered because you can only fight him with Fuji. He's only gonna take magical damage at that point. I also don't want him to dash. And time is going to be on the final hit here. So it's coming up pretty soon. Let's see, I want a Gummy Frog on. This fight is also very dangerous. So once he hits... Oh my god. That's a missed damage opportunity there. I'm going to need to Gummy Frog again. Actually, it's coming up. Oh, no. Don't do it. I'm back. There we go. That's time, by the way. That was actually not a bad final fight. Yeah, so once his life hits a certain threshold, I believe it's 500 or less, he can come to the center and he can do a Meteor attack, which does 70% of your total health. So yeah, that's why you really have to stack those level ups. You really want to keep your health high. Because if you miss a cycle and he does that, yeah, he just crushes your run. Also, the animation takes quite a bit of time as well. But yeah, when he goes to the center and he goes into that green spear, that's really the best time to catch him. So you want to unleash your death blow like right then and there. Yeah, so the ending here. In Final Fantasy Adventure, Julius actually completely obliterates the mana tree. And then Fuji gets another vision with her mother, and then she goes to become the mana tree herself. And then Sumo becomes her guardian. In this game, of course, Julius just withers the life out of the mana tree, so it is dead. Fuji doesn't get the same vision, but she does ascend to become one with the mana tree and comes back to life, and Sumo becomes her guardian, so works out just about the same. Yeah, there's quite a bit more to this game. but runs generally end around what level? High level 20s, early level 30s. Yeah, I did mention there's like a lot of different mana spirits you can get. You can stack multiples of those. Yeah, the different paths with the leveling. So in that way, those things are actually pretty unique and pretty good about this game. Not quite a PB. What I'm shooting for this game is to get it under 3 hours, and yeah, I was actually very close a couple weeks ago. I was like 14 seconds off. So it's close to PB. Yeah, so do hope you guys enjoyed that. I actually had a lot of fun with it. This speedrun has definitely grown on me quite a bit. I will admit I didn't think very much of the game when I started playing it, but I've come to like it. And we probably don't have time for it, but there is a little secret chocobo Easter egg. Unfortunately, you do have to wait on the end screen for like 5 minutes or something like that. So yeah, I guess I'm just gonna kind of talk until they kick me off. The credits theme is nice. Yeah, I don't know when they want to end it. Yeah, there's no Chocobot in this one. There's no Chocobo actually in the game itself. But again, you do get the little Easter egg if you hover on the end screen for 5 minutes. Chocobo kind of pops out and gives you a little wink. That would have been cool, but they just kind of took, they wanted to remove all the Final Fantasy elements and make them proper Seiken Densetsu elements. Yeah, it's like the brownie ring is ridiculous, right? And you don't even have to go through that much setup to get it. Then all you have to do is go to Windell and do that one little easy subquest. I guess I'm getting kicked off now. Alrighty. So yeah, thanks for letting me run this game in the marathon.
Not exactly. Well, first I have some delay because my audio setup is bad. I just lost my microphone. That's why it took like 2 minutes. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, okay, I have like 8 seconds of delay. This is very bad. But yeah, that was a very good run. The audience really loved it from what I saw. And we still have like 5-6 minutes to set up the next one, but we are going to indeed transition to the next one. So yeah, thanks a lot, SmellyMctroll, and hopefully we are going to see you again next time. It was a really good run.
Yeah, thanks. And good luck to everyone else. The Chrono Cross runners. The long one.
And yeah, as you can see, well, I guess we still have 2 seconds for the end of the credits, but not the extra show scene. And yeah, as you can see, next up we have the Chrono Cross race between NDW 3321 and Village 25. Yeah, I know a lot of you are waiting for this race as well because yeah, 7 hours and 20 minutes is it? Yes, of a race on the any percent good ending category. That's gonna be great. So yeah, let me change my